Brooks Falls is the definitive place to watch bears in Alaska. July and August are the best times to watch the bears, although there's another viewing time around September, and the reason for that is that in July and August, that's when the salmon are leaping up the Brooks Falls to get back to spawn. There's also another salmon season in September. That's a different type of salmon. In July and August, it's sockeye and silver salmon that are primarily there, and to me it was just quite amazing. I spent, I think, about 6 hours watching the bears and was just mesmerised by the whole thing. So I hope you really enjoy this video. The salmon are there in abundance, and certainly in September what the bears are trying to do is fatten themselves up so that they can survive the Alaskan winter. It was amazing to watch the bears, but by the end of my time I was actually almost willing the salmon to succeed to leap up the falls. Firstly, they run the danger of the bears, which is quite a big danger, but secondly, they have to get up these falls, and towards the end of the video you'll see a bit of more focused on the salmon, and at that it's really quite funny because they're just leaping and leaping and leaping and they're just not getting anywhere, and then suddenly you see through the water a salmon just sort of clinging to a rock and then managing to slither its way up over the falls and past the bears, and it's a bit like sort of cheering on the salmon. So that again was a really interesting part of the day. What's really interesting also about the bears is that they mostly just try to eat the head and the tail and the bottom part of the bear, which is, sorry, I should have said the bottom part of the salmon, and that's because that's where all the fat and goodness for bears is. They then discard a large part of the salmon, but the salmon doesn't go to waste. In Alaska, nothing ever goes to waste food-wise, because the seagulls and the other birds, including eagles, will actually take advantage of the bears' discarded bits of salmon and use that for feeding as well. And also the discarded salmon goes back into the river and creates nutrients for the salmon themselves, so that even although it looks as though the bears are being really wasteful, the reality is that it's an ecosystem that needs to happen to keep everything sort of ticking over and being healthy and productive. Here you can see a mother bear with 4 babies, and that was just quite an amazing experience. Apparently the babies aren't allowed into the water till I think they're about 6 months old, and that's because their fur isn't fully waterproof and therefore they could be susceptible to getting cold. We were actually on a viewing platform above the bears, so we were incredibly close to them, which was fantastic, and we were able to view them at really close quarters, but in a safe way, which was safe for us and also for the bears, which was just made the whole experience absolutely amazing. So I think I've really said enough about this video and about the bears of the Brooks Falls, and so I just hope you enjoy it. Actually, I should add something about how to get there. You actually fly to Brooks Falls by float plane, and that in itself is an absolutely fantastic experience because you don't go very high and you can see all the beautiful scenery en route to the bears. So that also adds to your experience. There's also quite interesting, you as soon as you arrive there, you go to bear school, and at bear school you learn how to not interact with bears, but how to avoid bears, or how to make sure that you're safe around bears. So they explain to you, if you see a bear, then you don't run away, you don't step back, you actually stand your ground and walk back slowly and put your hands up to make yourself look big and make a lot of noise. And if you're in bear country, then what you're supposed to do is make noise as you're going along, so that you're not surprising bears, because bears won't attack people unless they're feeling frightened, and they won't come near you if they know that you're there. So therefore, for safety purposes, you have to really make noise, and then the bears will stay away from you. But at Brooks Falls you don't have to do that, because you're in an environment where you're protected and you can see the bears. However, having said that, bears take priority at Brooks Falls, as does all wildlife, over the human beings that are there. And sometimes it's difficult to get from one part of the falls, from the lodge to Brooks Falls itself, which is a bit of a distance away due to there being a bear jam rather than a traffic jam. There's a bridge you have to cross across, and often if the bears are sort of wandering around and out and about, they like kind of wandering around this bridge, which then makes it less safe for human beings to be there. And so therefore they just close the bridge down and wait until the bears have done their thing, got to where they want to go for the day, and then they open up the bridge and let people walk by. So I thought that was really quite funny as well, that instead of having a traffic jam, Alaska's answer to traffic jams are actually bear jams, which were much more interesting. So as well as watching bears and looking at the salmon, then Brooks Falls is an absolute mecca for fishermen who go there obviously to catch the salmon, perhaps competing with the bears for the salmon. The fishermen are also attend bear school and are very clearly told that if a bear approaches them and is sort of wanting their salmon, then the salmon belongs to the bear and not to the person. You're never going to outrun a bear. You're not going to be able to fight a bear, so you just relinquish the salmon and walk away and walk back a bit and then try again later. And while I was there were quite a few fishermen fishing for salmon, not right at Brooks Falls that you can see just now, because there were just way too many bears there, but further on down the river then there are places where there are fewer bears, because it's not so easy to catch salmon at those bits where the Brooks Falls are and where the salmon are leaping. There are just so many salmon, it would be almost impossible for bears not to catch salmon, and for people like me to be highly entertained and amused by all that was going on.